Chairman, it's Emma Code, meeting producer. I can confirm that the live stream has now started.
Right. Right. Good afternoon, everybody. Once again, we continue the agenda with item 4.7, which is a major, which is PA 20//03310, Porthleven Harbour and Dock Company, land at the shipyard, Harbour Head, Porthleven. And I think, Peter, you're taking us through that one. Can you hear me, Peter?
Afternoon, Chairman, I can hear you.
Yeah, good afternoon, Peter.
Before we start, it's Angela from Democratic Services. John Thomas is having technical difficulty, so he's going to leave and try and come back in, and he'll let us know when he's back in.
Right, thank you. Right, Peter, are you going to share your screen with us this afternoon?
Yes.
Yeah, could we just test that first a moment?
Is that okay, Chairman?
Yeah, that's fine. We can see the screen and we can hear you. So when you're ready, if you'd like to take us through it, thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. This land relates to land to the north of the inner harbour at Porthleven, the shipyard. As you can see from the development description there, it's a master plan development including the demolition of a section of industrial buildings, conversion of an industrial building into a performance space, a new medical centre with 4 residential apartments above, and associated landscaping works. I also draw members' attention to the addendum, which updates on biodiversity net gain, and it's also noted that the 10% figure that is required, some wording can be included into, or will be included into, condition 7 if this application is recommended for approval. So moving on to the key issues: principle of development, impact on the character of the area and heritage assets, residential amenity, access and highway safety, flood risk and drainage, and ecology and biodiversity. As you can see here, the application site is located in a central position in Porthleven to the north of the inner harbour. As you can see there, the AONB designation comes along the coast here and close to the site as well. This is a scaled in site plan, obviously, which shows the site in greater detail. You can see the boundary of the conservation area here, the broken line, and obviously a number of listed buildings within the vicinity of the site, showing obviously there's a number of heritage assets located centrally in Porthleven. An aerial plan now. You can see the existing industrial buildings on the site here, which house a metal fabrication workshop and vehicle repair. Some of those buildings, the ones here, the 2 to the north, will be removed. This building here is to be retained, and here you have the Kotakai restaurant building, which is also doubles up as shops and offices as well on the road frontage there. Turning to the existing site plan, as you can see, scaled in again, you have the Kotakai building here to the south along the road frontage. The existing building here, this is the metalwork shed, which is going to be retained and converted. To the north here, you have a section of industrial buildings that will be removed as part of the scheme. So turning to the proposed plans, here you have the proposed master plan. So you have the retention of the existing Celtic house, which houses the restaurant here along the road frontage. This middle section of the site, it shows the conversion of the existing metal shed and a rebuilt section here to the north that is proposed as part of the proposal. Here you have the proposed medical centre in this corner, in the northwest corner, with the apartments above. This building here to the southeast of the site already has planning permission, which was granted by this committee a couple of years ago. That's the innovation building. So that building there already has planning permission. So here you have a new access here through from Methley Bottoms, parking proposed here with boat storage as well. A new vehicular bridge over the stream to the rear to access this net drying, an increased area of parking, and that's to save vehicles using this narrow lane here past the supermarket. So that's just an improved access to that parking area to the rear and net drying area. So moving on, this is the existing ground floor plan of the buildings on site. So this is the proposed ground floor, and this is the event space building located centrally in the site. that comes from the conversion of the metalwork shed. It will be a multi-use performance space, such as cinema, theatre productions, etc. And also this seating area is retractable, so it can be used as well for community groups. And there is a cafe, stroke bar here, and landscape space around here to the east of the building. And as you can see again here, this is the Innovation Centre building, which already has planning permission. Just the first floor plans again of the event space. Existing elevations of the metalwork shed already on the site, so that's the building to be converted, fairly standard looking industrial type building. So this is the proposed elevations of the event space to be converted. The building will be upgraded, the exterior upgraded in translucent sheets for the roof and zinc cladding to the colour green here, and this is the rebuilt section to the north, obviously subservient in scale to the main building. And the elevations again, this is the elevation facing the Innovation Studio, so this is going to be extensively glazed, and you can see some visuals there of how that will look, and again the south elevation here. And turning to this is proposed sections, and what it is proposed with, obviously there will be some obviously a noise generating use in this building with productions at the cinema and theatre, so it is proposed to line that building with an acoustically lined box. And as you notice from the scheduler conditions, we have requested further details of that by condition if approval is recommended, so there will be technical details required of that. And turning to the second element of the scheme is the residential and medical centre. As you can see, dual pitch roof, timber cladding at the upper level, natural stone at the lower level, and this will have a zinc roof. And again, proposed sections of the medical centre building and apartments. What you have here is a view looking up north along Methley Bottoms. You can see here the ridge line of adjacent apartments, so this on the opposite side of the road, so this building will be subservient in scale to existing development on the opposite side of the road in that part of the town. Again, proposed floor plans, the residential and medical centre on the ground floor, residential on the first and second floors, so there's two 2-bed apartments and two 3-bed apartments proposed. And this just shows a swept path analysis. This is a highways drawing. As you can see, larger vehicles able to enter the site here from Methley Bottoms through the new access and circulate through the site, so that's just an indication of that. So turning to the original proposal, which has been amended during the course of the application, there were design concerns over this element of the proposal here in the southwest corner of the site. That was to be a new lobster hatchery and restaurant. That has now been omitted from the scheme due to design concerns over this, because it was deemed to replicate too much the Innovation Studio on this side of the site. So because the Innovation Studio was granted as a landmark building for the town, so this replication would have bookended the scheme, and really that's not what we viewed was in character with the Porthleven conservation area. So this element here, and with its circular built form here, has been removed from the scheme. And turning to some site photos, we'll just run through these because it does show obviously how prominent the site is within the centre of the town. So as you can see, the site here, this is looking north from Harbour View, the site here in the middle. And another view, you can see the inner harbour here, Kotakai building here, and the industrial units on the site beyond. This is a view looking northwest from Peveril Terrace, again an elevated view. You can see the prominence of the site in the centre of the town here, existing industrial buildings here to the rear. And this is a view looking north from Harbour Road. Again, you can see what a strategic site this is within the centre of the town. This is a view looking north from the west side of the harbour. You can see the Kotakai building there, the restaurant building. This is a view from the square, a more close view. You can see the industrial units to the rear, the shed here, the metalwork shed to be retained. The two industrial units to the north will be demolished to make way for the scheme. And this is the view from the junction of Harbour View and Methley Bottoms. Medical centre will sit in here on this corner of the site. Again, you can see the existing buildings. So it's a view of the buildings from the highway looking east. A more close-up view of the site. You can see it's really quite bare and just laid to hard standing industrial buildings and walling. Again, the site of the proposed medical centre will sit here, as you can see, on this northwest corner of the site. This is a view looking south from Methley Bottoms. Back at the site, you can see the medical centre would sit in here. You can see the existing buildings there. So another view looking south from Methley Bottoms. You can see the scale of the existing development on the opposite side of the road there in that location. So this further views now from the north to the rear of the site from the playing field. You can see the stream running through here where there is a comprehensive scheme of landscaping proposed, which we have secured by condition. This is another view of the buildings, and again looking west from the play area, the medical centre and apartment building will sit on this part of the site here. And this is the view looking dead south from the play area, and the proposed parking area to the rear of the site. When I referred to the vehicular bridge over the river, this area is to be extended for further car parking and net drawing. So this is another site to the north at Tull Ponds Road, which is quite important because this is where the existing businesses working out of the shipyard at the minute will be relocated, and it is anticipated that will happen in January 2021. So this development for mixed industrial use was granted permission under this reference, and as you can see, development is well underway and nearing completion on that site at Tull Ponds Road. So turning to the balance of considerations, the development would clearly contribute to the local economy and community by providing additional employment and leisure floor space, along with further housing and a new medical centre within the setting of the historic harbour at Porthleven. It is acknowledged that some harm to the conservation area and other identified heritage assets would be brought by the development, but with the revisions to the scheme now in place, i.e. the removal of the lobster hatchery building, this is considered to be less than substantial harm when balanced against the clear benefits to the local community and due to it being suitably integrated with the existing built form. Turning to technical planning matters, the development is not considered to raise any neighbouring amenity, highway safety, biodiversity or flood risk issues. Obviously biodiversity, we're adding some extra wording in regarding net gain. That's proposed in condition 7. And in terms of flood risk, the Environment Agency have now removed their objection, and they have recommended a set of 3 conditions which are set out in the report. The traditional use of the site for work steer and the storage of boats would not be compromised, with the areas of the site being appropriately controlled by condition, allowing for these activities to continue, and there is also easy access to the adjacent harbour. And finally, the existing industrial tenants on site are being relocated to purpose-built premises in Tull Ponds Road. So thank you, Chairman, and the recommendation is approval with conditions. Thank you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, because my screen has suddenly gone blank. It's asking for more information.
Yes, I can hear. Sorry, Chairman, I can hear you. It's.
Yeah. Angela, can you hear me in the meeting? Can you?
Yes, I can hear you. It's a bit echoey.
Yeah, I've obviously got a problem. I think I better hand over to David.
Sorry, Chair. Where are we?
Well, you just finished the presentation, so yeah. you need to call in the speakers. The next one is Councillor Toy from Porthleven Parish Council.
Right.
Can you hear me without it echoing now? Can you?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. I'll carry on because something's just come up on the screen that says more information required, and there's a test card come up. Everything's blanked out. Well, I'll try and carry on if you can hear me.
Okay, that sounds fine to me, John.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll try and carry on. So we have got speakers, and the next one is Councillor Mike Toy from Porthleven Town Council. Are you there, Councillor Toy?
Chairman, it's Emma Code, meeting producer. Mike Toy is on mute at the moment, so he will need to press *6 on his telephone to unmute.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll be 3 minutes and we'll prompt you when it's 30 seconds to go. And the time will start from when you start speaking. So once you're ready, just carry on with your statement.
Okay.
Right,
Good afternoon all. My name is Michael Toy. I'm the Deputy Mayor of Portland Town Council. And I'm speaking on behalf of the Council as we have some concerns about the development. We had a Council meeting on the 8th of October and where we came to the conclusions with some debate from all the councillors. We have some issues with the scale and mass of the proposed development in the heart of Portland and its historical harbour. Obviously, now that the lobster hatchery has been removed, there is still some concern that something else might be built there eventually. This is one of our concerns. Also, the removal of the historic wall, which is shown on the 1875 and 1906 OS maps. It is believed that the boundary wall could be the remains of a historical building, and the Town Council consider the destruction of the wall would harm the architectural character of Portland in the conservation area. The wall, originally when you had the innovation building was passed, the wall was asked to be retained. The roadway going through the wall was thrown out in the last planning meeting because of line of sight issues, etc., and the highways agreed with them on that. We are rather concerned that the construction of this wall now, that the lobster hatchery is not needed anymore, would it be needed. Also, that in line with that, concerns over the proposed access versus via metally bottoms. This is a narrow road, and the Town Council is concerned over the safety aspect, whether this would be adequate for larger vehicles. Obviously, you have done a highways assessment now, but it's still the same road that was rejected in the last application when the Innovation Hub building was passed. Also, one of the main things that we are concerned about is there's been no independent Cornwall Council-led public consultation conducted. The proposed development to the heart of Portland should be presented to the public for commitment at a dedicated, independent, open consultation to allow all residents to fully understand the proposal and to make an educated decision. Portland has a large elderly demographic who may not be able to access the proposed plans online, and the Town Council do not feel that this has been taken into consideration. Obviously, there have been restrictions with COVID-19.
30 seconds left.
Thank you. Has caused a lot of problems with that. The proposed development is adjacent to the floodplain and there's concerns regarding the proposed residential accommodation. This is contrary to our Portland neighbourhood plan, which is on its way to confirmation, and we're in the process of having it finalised. Also, we have no
That's 3 minutes, Chairman.
Sorry, that's your time, I'm afraid, Councillor.
Okay.
If you could just wait a moment, just in case we've got any questions. David, has any of the members indicated they've got a question?
Councillor Wallace has got his hand up, Chairman.
Yeah, Councillor Wallace.
It wasn't to ask Mike a question, it was a question to the planning officers.
Yeah, well, that will come later. That's after you spoke, Andrew. Right, there's no questions for
Councillor Biggs, Chairman.
Councillor Biggs.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. At the Town Council meeting that you had, where you discussed this, and you came to a conclusion, could you tell me if the decision was unanimous or whether there was a divided opinion on it, please?
It was unanimous with all the parish councillors. Councillor Wallace abstained because he had another way of going about to discuss this business.
Thank you.
Right. Are there any other questions, David?
No, Chairman.
No. Okay. Well, thank you very much for attending this afternoon, Councillor Toy. Good afternoon to you.
Yeah,
so we move on now to the divisional member, which is Councillor Wallace.
Thank you, Chairman. You've heard the the messaging from Portland Town Council. The reason I abstain is obviously I'm the Cornwall councillor and I didn't want to have a conflict of interest by voting twice, even though that's normally accepted practice. I kept my Cornwall council hat on. I think I have a couple of concerns over this. The first one over is I'm pleased to see the other innovation building, what was also known as the lobster hatchery, removed, because it was bookending the site into this one, and it was an overbearing building in the first case, let alone in the second. But I have concerns over several things. A is the historical wall. This is what is one of the oldest walls in Porthleven, and the previous application for the innovation hub, this was deemed as architecturally important, and there was an access planned for this area, but actually the Historical England and the council's own people said this was architecturally important and therefore it must be retained. So it is of some surprise to suddenly see in an application 18 months later that this wall is to be removed. And it's also not only to be removed, it's going to be removed for highways access in the narrowest part of what's called Methley Bottom. It will take some skill to even get a large scale vehicle across that road into that bend, especially as you have a sharp left-hand bend, which almost makes that area blind. So I have concerns over the highways aspect, and I know the highways officer is visited, but previously they also deemed that this wasn't the vision of view wasn't adequate coming from the Porthleven side, and that was another reason why this access wasn't granted in the first place. I would also like to direct some things towards the planning officer and the so-called medical centre. My understanding, there is no formal agreement in place for, or even in early stages, for a medical centre to relocate there. From my own local knowledge, that the medical centre has no wish to move down there, because where it's based centrally in Porthleven, in a residential area where it has adequate free parking for all. So whilst this is a building, I take some objection to be called a medical building, because there is no formal agreement in place for this to become a medical building. And if the planning officer could be so kind as to show the topographical view of this site, please. Yeah, well, the next one previous, the pictured one, that one, perfect. If you look, that perfect, the master plan. If you look at to the top part of this plan, and you'll see a gravelled area, which is being used as a car park. And I like to bring two cases on this one. The land in question is not fully in the owner's domain. In fact, if you look at the land registry, it's not even in their name. There is a caution put across part of this land for the Harbour and Dockland Company. The other part of the land is owned by Porthleven Town Council, and they are not giving permission for this to be used as a car park. The second part of this application, I'd like to on this part here, is the very fact there is an Act of Parliament what gives unrestricted access, unfettered access to the fishermen of Porthleven for use of boat maintenance and drying area. Therefore, any restriction onto this area in the top grey part will go against an Act of Parliament which has been challenged in the Court of Law and upheld as a legal entity. So when they're talking about actually car parking space, the car parking which is planned here is not in the owner's possession, nor can it supersede an Act of Parliament what actually in time memoriam allows fishermen to have unrestricted access over this. Whilst Porthleven Town Council fully supported the previous application on the Methley Bottoms, it sees as an industrial unit in a location which is suitable, the Town Council doesn't feel that the size, scale and bearing, and also the historical harm to the very much prominent centre of Porthleven justifies in this being given permission. I would urge, there is also another concern for what's been raised several times by the Town Council. 5
minutes, Chairman.
Yeah, so if you could start to wind up now, Andrew, please.
I mean, 20 seconds, Roger.
Yeah.
Is that there has been no PACE meeting, unlike previous one, and this is such a large-scale development. Now, I'm urging the committee is to reject this application in its current form. Thank you.
Right, thank you. Has any of the members got a question for Councillor Wallace? David?
No, Chairman.
No, right. So we move into questions for the officers. Has anybody got any questions for the officers? David?
Councillor Biggs?
Yeah, Councillor Biggs.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. Just on the legal question which Councillor Wallace raised about the Act of Parliament, could Ben give us some guidance on that, please, as to what the status of that is, please?
Ben?
Yeah, thanks, Chairman. Yeah, I haven't seen it, to be fair, Councillor Biggs. I'd have to have a look at it, but you know, I'm not disputing that it isn't in place. I suppose what I would say is sometimes we do have these old arrangements that are in place, and we just have to take a view on what weight to put on them. I mean, ultimately, I'd have to have a look. I haven't seen it. I mean, do you have it, Councillor Wallace, handy? You know, you might be able to send it. Well, I probably won't want to look at it now, but it would be helpful.
I have the 4 Acts of Parliament included in the legal challenge, what was done in the 70s. I'm more than happy to send this over to you.
Well, that's fine. I mean, to be fair, so my ultimate get out today is I'm being ambushed at the committee meeting, which isn't particularly helpful. We could have discussed it before, but I wouldn't be in a position to say that they don't apply, and I wouldn't be in a position to say what weight we would put on them. But I suppose it begs the question, how relevant are they in terms of the decisions that we're making today? So I don't know, that probably isn't that helpful. We'd have to have a proper look. All right.
Chairman, could I just come back in very quickly on that, if I may?
Yes, Councillor Biggs.
Yeah, it seems to me that if there is some overriding legal status here, that we're very much stymied on deciding this application. It seems to me to be critical to what we're considering today.
I think if I may come back, Chair, I think Councillor Wallace related the acts back to the ownership point, and our advice would be that ownership, you can proceed regardless of the ownership, can't you? It's not strictly relevant to a planning application necessarily. So I think we'd probably say that to start with.
Chairman, it may be order there. Sorry, there's a point of order. There was 2 points. I hate to disagree with Ben on this one, and I didn't ambush him. There's 2 points. There is the first part of the ownership of the land is in question, or not fully in the owner. The second part of it is the point I reflected to the Act of Parliament, is about the unfettered access fishermen have for the use of their boat and drying, which is enshrined in law and has had test cases. There is 2 elements to this, and I agree with Ben on the first part about the land ownership, which is a civil matter, but actually the Act of Parliament is actually, are you making a legal decision on planning when there is parliamentary acts in place? That's the 2 points for clarification. Thank you for allowing me to.
So the ultimate on that, Chairman, is it's not appropriate for us to advise at a committee meeting on Acts of Parliament. They should have been brought to me before, and it's regrettable that hasn't happened. And I don't know why that hasn't happened, but I suppose that's all I can say ultimately.
Yeah, although I can't see anything, I'm still chairing the meeting, and Ben, do you advise, as legal officer, do you advise the committee to defer this one until we got information, or are you quite happy that they can make a decision? And
well, I'd be interested to hear about anything Mr. Broomhead would have to say, because obviously he'll have a view on that.
I'm really disappointed that this has been brought to us at this stage, Chairman, and it doesn't help anyone. Yeah. Well, I think we're in the circumstances. I think we're in a difficult position because we need to know what controls, in terms of the planning decision, the applicant has or doesn't have. And so it is regrettable that this has been raised right at this last minute.
Yeah, but the thing is, what we're looking for now is some clear advice.
Well, I would suggest we defer it, Chairman.
So if I may come in, Chair, sorry to interrupt. Yeah, so I was testing the waters there, I wasn't sure if Mr. Broomhead had knowledge. Clearly he doesn't. And yeah, I agree. I couldn't say that it's safe to proceed on this basis. I would want to have a proper look with Mark, with Peter, and have a proper look at these acts. I have no knowledge of them at all, I'm afraid. So that's what we'd have to suggest. That would be safer.
So while you're still there, Ben, to proceed, do we just take that advice, or do we need to go into committee? And
well, you'll need to go to committee, won't you? And presumably you'll be looking to defer on that basis, I would suggest. And then I would ask if council would be kind enough to send them across, following the meeting, we could have a proper look at them, because we can't say safely, I can't. It wouldn't be right for me to say, oh, that's fine, we can plough through it and ignore them, because probably they are. Very bad.
With that, unless any of the members want to speak, I would suggest that we actually go into committee and see if we can get a recommendation then. So unless any member want to say anything at this stage before we go into committee, are there any that have indicated that they want to speak, David?
Roger, as it's directed to me and I can't partake in the things, at the point of order is that this issue had been raised before at the previous application.
Yeah, but Andrew,
I'm willing to send.
I'm chairing the meeting at the moment with great difficulty because I can't see anything and I'm not hearing anything probably. But basically, that will be sort of after the meeting for you to provide the information and then get an opinion from the officers. But I think what we need to do now, unless any of the members say anything different, that we actually go into the committee to pass a recommendation. And
Chairman, if I may just interject just to add, so yeah, I would agree with that. Council was to provide anything. Obviously, if he had an opinion, there was an opinion in the 70s that may have changed, but obviously we do need to consider them. So and that's the position really.
Yeah, and unless anybody's indicated, then we'll go into committee.
All right. I have Councillor Thomas and Councillor Biggs with their hands up. I don't know whether they want to speak at this point or wait till we get to committee.
May I raise an issue now, Mr. Chair?
Yeah, Councillor Thomas, okay.
Yeah, the local member did raise the issue of PACE meetings. I was simply going to ask, could this issue be answered now? Otherwise, it might be brought up later. Was that a relevant issue?
I can answer that.
Yeah, Mr. Broomhead.
Yeah, there's no legal requirement to have PACE meetings. It's something that we promoted with developers, and obviously we're in difficult times now, and that's not a reason to withhold the application's determination.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Biggs, did you want to say anything before we go to committee?
No, we'll go into committee, Chairman.
Yeah, right. So we'll go into committee then, and it's over to committee members now. That if you want to make a recommendation, we can take it.
I've got Councillor John Thomas.
Yeah, Councillor Thomas.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. I agree with the officers on this one. The amount of times that we've been asked if there's any relevant or any important information we should be discussed so the actual meeting can proceed on the day, then it should be forthcoming and meetings should be held with the officers. I think this is so important, Chairman, that we should have had, or the officers should have had wind of this way before now. I don't know what the applicant feels about this, but I feel a bit let down really, because we're put here to make decisions on really something that we know nothing about at the minute, on this legal agreement that Councillor Wallace quite rightly has brought up. It's unfortunate he should have brought it up before and let the officers know exactly what we're discussing today. So with that, Chairman, I'm happy to propose that we do defer. I'm not happy to make a decision on what's just been brought up in light of Councillor Wallace's information.
Yeah, have we got a seconder for that?
Councillor Biggs, Chairman.
Yeah, Councillor Biggs, do you second it?
Yes, I will, Chairman, and I echo Councillor Thomas's comments. It's disappointing that we got this far and can't actually move forward with a decision, but that's where we are, and we do have to consider it properly. So yes, support deferment. Yeah,
so it's been moved for deferment. It's been proposed by Councillor Thomas, seconded by
Councillor Nicholas with a hand up, Chair.
Yeah, so well, I wasn't going to take the vote, but I just wanted to establish that's what's been moved for deferment. Councillor Nicholas, do you want to speak?
Yes, Chair, I agree with previous speakers about this, but it's also quite interesting that the applicant didn't know anything about it either. So I think, yeah, definitely look into it.
Yeah, right. So we'll put it to the vote unless anybody else got anything to say. Angela, we do it by roll call.
Okay, Councillor Baston.
4.
Councillor Biggs.
4.
Councillor Eakin-Smith.
4.
Councillor Harding.
4.
Councillor Hurd.
4.
Councillor Martin.
4.
Councillor Nicholas.
4.
Councillor Pascoe.
4.
Councillor Robinson.
4.
Councillor John Thomas.
4.
Councillor Mike Thomas.
4.
That deferral is unanimous, Chairman.
Right, thank you. Right, we've now gone to item 4.8, Mr. R. Ward, derelict dwelling, Old Portreath Road. And I think, Scott, are you taking us through that one?
Yes, Chairman, yes.
Yeah, we can hear you. So I can't tell if somebody else can say if you can see the screen, because I've got a test card on mine. I've got a problem. So if you share the screen and somebody confirm they can see it.
Yeah, see it okay, Chairman.
Yeah, okay then. Right, so over to you, Scott, if you take the presentation.
Okay, thank you. So this is a full planning application, as it says, seeking the reinstatement of a former mine workers' cottage. So in this instance, the key issues are considered to be the planning history relating to the site, the location of the development. In this instance, whether the extent of the reconstruction works due to the current condition of the existing structure would constitute or be tantamount to the erection of a new dwelling, the effect on a non-designated heritage asset, and the effect of the proposed development on the character and appearance of the area. So strategically looking, site highlighted in red, Old Portreath Road running in a northeast southwest direction. Red roof down in the bottom corner, New Portreath Road running sort of more north-south, and the World Heritage designation highlighted with the sort of the dotted annotation. So site plan just showing again Old Portreath Road forming the western boundary, and also you can see the scattering of dwellings in the vicinity along with agricultural enterprises to the west. So again, site area just to demonstrate the site context and character. Consider that the site occupies a countryside location. So the block plan indicate, obviously the red line indicating the building in question, the extent of the garden / access parking proposed, and the blue line just indicating the wider land ownership. So this is the existing plan showing the floor plan and elevations. The floor plan showing the historic configuration of the building as it exists on site, with the elevations on the bottom of the screen showing the remnants of the stone walling. So proposed plan, this shows the elevations of the proposed dwelling. And a building section here showing the ground and first floor plans, and also indication on floor height, ceiling heights at first floor level and construction methods. So this is the view of the site or the remains from the access. This is looking north directly towards the would-be. Again, views of the remains from the highway building here on the right hand side, again looking north along Old Portreath Road. This is just a view of the site from the access looking east. So this is a view from the highway looking in the northeasterly direction. And this is quite close-up views of the remains on the site. Similar concept to the picture here. This is sort of along towards the northern sort of elevation of the site. Again, just the view of the remains from the highway looking east. The views of the remains from the highway looking in the southeasterly direction. So in this instance, the balance of considerations is the previously refused applications, the site being in a countryside location, the extent of works required to reinstate this former cottage are not considered to constitute conversion or reuse of an existing building under Policy 7. The remains are considered to comprise a non-designated heritage asset, and due to the level of works necessary, the scheme overwrites the legibility and authenticity of this asset. The proposal constitutes new unjustified residential development in the countryside, which would be dependent on the private vehicle. The resultant detrimental impact upon the character and appearance of the countryside through the domestication of the site. The social benefits of one additional dwelling to the housing stock and the economic activity for its construction is positive but limited. And overall, on balance, the identified harm outweighs the modest economic and social benefits, and therefore recommendation for refusal is recommended. I'd like to draw your attention to the addendum response received from the Redruth Town Council. To summarise, they mention in January 2020, they unanimously resolved to support. The chair of the Town Council visited the site in order to inform this view. The applicant is a sole trader, generally a gardening business, and at the moment stores equipment and machinery on the adjacent field, and has planted trees on the site, which has enhanced the appearance. Acknowledging the site is open countryside. In this case, the rural enterprise is established and a sufficient business case can be made as the dwelling will support the business. The Town Council's representations again say the dwelling proposed is traditional and would enhance the area, and movement into the site would not be significantly increased due to the existing business being on the site, with attention drawn to precedent with a PA 11-02993. Thank you, Chairman.
Right. Thank you. We have got speakers. First one's Dan Mitchell. Can you hear me, Dan?
Yes, I can.
Yeah. Right. As it's usual, it's 3 minutes. We'll prompt you when it's 30 seconds to go. And as soon as you start speaking, the time will start. So when you're ready.
Thank you, councillors. This application seeks to reinstate a historic mine workers' cottage at Old Portreeve Road, in the location close to Redruth in North Country. The application is supported by a robust heritage impact assessment that confirms that the cottage was historically associated with the Buller family at Tulgis Downs. The proposal seeks to authentically reinstate the cottage to its former glory using the existing walls and matching in stonework to rebuild the new elements in a historically appropriate manner. The National Planning Policy Framework supports the principle of sustaining and enhancing the significance of heritage assets and putting them to viable uses. Paragraph 79 of the NPPF states planning policies and decisions should avoid development of isolated homes in the countryside unless one or more of the following circumstances apply. In this case, it is applicable. Part B, the development would represent the optimal viable use of a heritage asset or would be appropriate, enabling development to secure the future of the heritage asset. The pursuit of an optimal viable use of a heritage asset is in accordance with policy. This is exactly what the proposal seeks to achieve. In doing so, it will also provide a much-needed home for the applicant. When the committee previously considered the scheme, no submission was made based on the reinstatement of the heritage asset. This fresh approach gives policy support to provide the enabling development necessary to reinstate this cottage. This approach has been adopted by Cornwall Council on at least 3 occasions in the last 12 months. Examples of very comparable historic cottages being reinstated have received planning permission on sites at Halvassa near Penryn, Trecarn near Liskeard, and finally at Carside Farm, Leedstown by yourselves, the West Planning Committee, with an approval dated 13th March 2020. It is noted that the World Heritage Office have objected to the application, and this is published in the committee papers. It is important to point out to members that the application site is not in the World Heritage Site. Furthermore, the relatively minor proposal would not have any adverse impact upon the setting of the wider World Heritage Site. More importantly, is that your Conservation Officer, in their consultation comment dated 10th of February 2020, advised, the principle of rebuilding the cottages from a historic environment perspective are considered to be appropriate and will provide an enhancement of the existing ruins, as long as the proposed specification is considered to reflect what would have been a similar early 19th century design. Therefore, we have a proposal supported by Redroof Town Council, supported in principle by a conservation officer, and consistent with other recent approvals by Cornwall Council. On behalf of the applicant, I ask you to support the application and impose the necessary and expected conditions regarding detailing of materials and finishes. Thank you.
Right, thank you. Has any member got a question for Councillor? Sorry, for Mr. Mitchell?
No questions, Chairman.
No questions. So we go on to the next speaker, and that's Councillor Barnes, the divisional member.
Good evening, Chairman. I would just like to say that I'm not going to speak for a long time, which will be a relief. This is a restoration of a previous dwelling, and in and around that area there's been lots of changes. The Cornish Arms up at on the junction has been turned from a pub into different houses. It's not that far from other dwellings. I can't see that it's been put down as identified harm, but I can't see any harm that this is going to do. The town council has supported this, and many years ago I supported a gentleman called Wayne Wills who lives out near Mola. He had a very similar scheme like this, and that was supported on appeal, and that was out near Mola. So I think a precedent has been set for being able to do this, and it is down to the members' discretion, and I would recommend that members support this application and allow the applicant to carry on and restore this building to its former glory. Thank you, Chairman.
Right, thank you, Councillor. Are there any questions for Councillor Barnes?
No.
No questions. Right, so we go on to any questions of the officers.
No questions yet, Chairman.
Yeah, well, I just got one for Ben. My screen has gone totally. I can hear everything. I've heard everything. I've had sight of the presentation before, and obviously I went through it at preview. So are you happy for me to vote, or do you want me to abstain?
Yeah, no, I'm happy if you're happy, Chairman. It's up to you ultimately, but you've read the reports, and I know that you will have done, and you're hearing everything, aren't you? So
yeah, and I've seen the presentation at preview.
That's right, and they've been sent out ahead,
yeah.
So people can, would
okay. Right. So with that, we'll go into committee. So if anyone would like to speak,
Councillor Bastin.
Yeah, Councillor Bastin.
Sorry, I was going to say I put my hand up before committee. It was just a question for officers, really, in as much as what would be the technical challenges of rebuilding this? Because it looks very unstable to me.
Mr. Broomhead, can you answer that one?
Sorry, Chairman, my old screen went as well just now. I don't know if everybody else has had a problem. In terms of technical, well, we've had a structural report. Obviously, there is quite a significant amount of new building, but obviously we've had a report, and if it was granted and it came down, that'd be a separate scenario yet again. But I can appreciate what you're saying, Councillor Bastin.
Right, thank you. Any other councillors?
Yep, Councillor John Thomas.
Yeah, Councillor Thomas.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. Surely the technical rebuilding of this would come under building regs, I would think. I can remember this cottage, well, ever since I've been passing that way to go to Luggan and places like that, going to Sporham Gate. So it's a place that's been left to fall down. Obviously, I understand that by reading the report that some materials have gone missing because they think it's a ruin. I mean, like Councillor Barnes said, the precedence has already been set as far as I'm concerned. I recently have had one approved in Longdowns, which is a very similar stature to this one. As long as they had a consolidation report and building regs and engineers report sent in, it's up to the applicant to put cost into the building to try and preserve it. All I can see that's going to happen, Chairman, is that this is going to get into a bigger pile of rocks. I mean, I understand that materials to rebuild it are on site. I'm not going to propose anything, Chairman, but I really cannot see any problem with this. And the other thing I'd add, Chairman, if we don't support, I mean, I know it's a fairly rundown state of affairs at the minute, but if we don't support people like this, where are they going to afford, local houses for local people? Because they just can't do it. If they had this property left to them, I just think we ought to give them a chance. But I'm not going to propose anything, Chairman. See what the rest of the committee say. But I did have one in Longdowns approved, very, very similar to this one, and that one's going ahead now, Chairman. So I'll leave it there.
Right. Any other members got any comments or want to propose?
Councillor Hurd.
Councillor Hurd.
Yes, I've passed this place several times. I would like to propose that we accept it and grant planning permission on it. I understand the gentleman's saved a lot of the materials on site, and he's willing to go ahead and restore it as is. So I would like to propose that we grant it.
Yeah. So is there a seconder for that?
I've got Councillor Nicholas, Martin, and John Thomas, and Mike Thomas.
Yeah. Right. So did either of those councillors want to second Councillor Hurd?
I'd like to second that, Chairman, as the original speaker, if I could, please.
Yeah. Okay. That's fine. So then, who's first on your list, David?
Councillor Nicholas.
Councillor Nicholas.
Thank you, Chairman. Yeah, I agree. I think buildings like this look really nice when they're done up and tastefully renovated to look similar to what would have been there. My only concern is that can we condition this that it's actually for the applicant and not going to be used as a holiday let?
Mr. Bremer, can you answer that one?
Yeah. No, I wouldn't recommend. I mean, I'll as is a recommendation on the table, Chair. I'll have to come in with conditions. Do you want me to do that at the same time? Or
no, I don't know if you could answer the specific question.
That would be unreasonable to put that condition on.
Yeah,
it wouldn't meet the test set out in paragraph 55.
Yeah. The next speaker is
Councillor Martin.
Councillor Martin.
Thanks, Chair. Yes, this is due to deteriorate, no doubt. And if it's a historical asset, we'll just have a pile of stones. So I think it's now appropriate that we can allow this to happen. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, next speaker, David.
Councillor John Thomas.
I was only second. I was only going to second the proposal.
Yeah. Okay then.
And like I said, I've said all I've said. There is a precedent's been set. I don't think it's going to harm the area. I think it's going to enhance it rather than just a big pile of stones, which is sad really. That we should provide an adequate house for somebody.
Yeah. Right. David, next speaker.
No, that's it, Chairman.
That's it. Right. So we'll put that to the vote. Again, it's contrary to the officer's recommendation. And so what we'd be recommending, it was proposed by, I've forgotten her.
It was proposed by Councillor Hurd and seconded by
Councillor Hurd and seconded by Councillor Thomas. So before we take the vote, Mr. Brumer, you need to bring in some conditions on it.
Thank you, Chairman. Following some of the consultations as well that we've had already, I'd recommend you have the statutory time condition, a plans condition, the hard landscaping condition, historic building recording and a written scheme of investigation, details of sills and lintels, details of natural slate, a sample panel of the stonework, and I think it's important that we take away permitted development rights so that if it is approved and constructed, there's control over future additions.
Yeah, right, thank you. Councillor Hurd and Councillor Thomas, you're happy with that? That are the conditions that were put forward?
Yes, I'm completely happy with that.
Yeah,
I'm happy with that. What I would go as second to the proposal, and respect all that the officers' work they put into this, but I will more or less not insist, but I would hope to, it's a rebuild. I'm not going to support any a renovation, not going to support a new property in the countryside. They've got to work on what's there now.
Yeah, right, thank you.
Agree.
Yeah, so we'll be putting that to the vote then, so it will be recommended for approval contrary to the agenda, with the conditions put forward by Mr. Broomhead, and so it'll be roll call again. So over to Angela.
Councillor Bastin.
For.
Councillor Eakin-Smith.
For.
Councillor Harding.
Against.
Councillor Hurd.
For.
Councillor Martin.
For.
Councillor Nicholas.
For.
Councillor Pascoe.
For.
Councillor Robinson.
For.
Councillor John Thomas.
For.
Councillor Mike Thomas.
For.
I'll just count that up. That's been approved by 9 votes in favour and 1 against.
Right, thank you. So we then go on to item 5. That's any business that the chairman considers to be of urgency. You'll be glad to hear that there is none. So it just leaves me to thank everybody for their attendance this afternoon, and hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Emma, I'll speak to you in a moment.
Oh.
Thank you, Roger.
Thank you. All the best, everybody.